I get it. You've been producing music for a little while now, maybe even a few years. You're making decent progress, but still, 90% of your tracks just feel emotionless. And no matter how many videos you watch on YouTube, they're just not getting you to that point. But imagine this, by the end of this video, you'll be able to take those alright tracks and transform them into professional tracks that stick in people's heads. Because if your music doesn't evoke emotion, you're not going to capture the attention of your listener. But we're going to change that. Let's do it. So this is the track that we'll be working on. The idea is decent, but it doesn't have that professional sound yet. It doesn't have that emotion. This is the main idea of the track. It's what's going to make it unique. And if we listen to it in the track, it sounds alright, but something feels like it's missing, and that's just due to layering. Now, layering is of course one of the best ways to make your track sound more full. I have a full video on layering if you want to go check it out, but I'm just going to cover it briefly here. All I'm going to do is copy the exact pattern of this main synth. We can load up a new serum and then paste this into a new pattern. And from here, we can design a completely new sound that's going to complement and add more to the original sound. So this sound right here is pretty thin. So I say we design something that sounds more lush and more wide. We got the default serum. Let's see. We can enable the filter and put the envelope on here. And I'm making sure to shape this sound like the original one. Maybe we can enable this one, apply the filter, and then we can take this up an octave. And from here we can see how well this layers with the main synth. I'm just going to EQ it a little bit here to fit it into the original layer. Maybe just a little bit of saturation. All we did was take the original pattern, listen to it, and then just decide from there what we should layer it with. In this case, this synth was pretty thin, so we layered it with something more wide. Here's the before. And here's the after. It just gives it a little bit of a more full sound. Now, another thing we could do is layer the drums up here. So for example, this clap. I definitely think it's missing a little bit of brightness and texture. We could look in our sample library and just find something that sounds more bright. Like this, for example. And so all we do from here is just layer it with the clap. And of course, we want to mix this so that it fits together like a puzzle, right? So here's the before, and here's the after. And if we listen to it with the whole track, this extra layer just gives it more punch, more texture, and more brightness. We're already making some decent progress. It sounds a little bit more full, but overall the rest of the track still feels like it's missing something. And I don't think I've showed you this yet, but I have this intro section with some vocals. So there's a couple things we can do to add more uniqueness to this part. But first, we're going to open a completely empty new project. And you might be like, why are we doing that? Well, let me show you. Now we have a completely empty project, and we're going to be using this for sound design. We'll be making some unique effects that have never been heard before so that you can use it in your tracks. And you're probably like, all right, cool, but what direction do I go in? What do I do? And honestly, I can't really tell you because it's complete experimentation. I don't even know how this is going to sound. So if you want to, you can just follow along. This is going to be super interesting. Try something like this. Maybe change the sound a little bit. Then I'll go to the piano roll and place a random note out here. And I don't know, we can try this randomize tool. The track that we're working on is in the key of F sharp minor. So I'm just going to keep it like this. Trust the process. You might be like, where is this even going? But just watch. You can place this in the playlist. Let's apply a crystallizer to this, for example. That sounds pretty cool. Maybe some reverb as well. I'm placing it before the crystallizer because I want the reverb to wash it out before it goes into the crystallizer. Does that make sense? I'm just gonna try and render this out, to be honest. Now what we can do is just render this out and save it in a folder. So we're back in the original project and I actually have that sweep right here. And I'm actually going to apply it right here. So that way it transitions from the intro here to this other section. Now I know this seems kind of random, but the reason I wanted to show you this is because if you just experiment and make stuff like this and then save it in a folder and add it to your track, it's going to make it just that much more unique. It's such a subtle difference, but it sweeps the listener through the track very smoothly. And we can even add some more effects. So after a little bit of work of just searching through my sample library and trying to see what I can add, we have this reverb clap as well as some impacts. I especially like this one right here. It just sounds super unique and it adds to the track. I also added this sub drop at the very beginning. So we've layered our sounds, we've added unique effects and ear candy, but what else can we do to fill up the track? Well, it's as simple as just adding some ambient sounds. So for example, we got these ones here. I recorded this myself at my neighborhood, and adding something like this subtly in the background, it will add a little bit more character and set the scene a little bit. So another thing I want to do is in this section, it gets very quiet and desolate, and I want to keep it that way, but at the same time I want to add a rhythmic synth that kind of previews what's going on in the drop. So once again, I'll go to this pattern and copy it. Then we can paste this into a completely new pattern, open Serum, and make something. I want it to be similar to the original, but not too similar. Yeah, just something simple like that. Now all I'm applying to this is just some saturation, an EQ to tame it a little bit and also cut the lows, some reverb and some delay. Let's see how it sounds in the track. Sounds pretty good, and like I said, I just wanted to preview what's going to happen in the drop. All of your effects and your layering and your synths can sound good, but if your music doesn't tell a story, then what's the point? And that's exactly when automation comes into play. So I specifically want to automate the cutoff on this rhythmic synth. I'll apply this macro to the filter, I'll tweak it a little bit, then go to Tools, Last Tweaked, Create Automation Clip. Now we can use this clip to automate that cutoff over time and tell a story with the track. Lastly, I want to create some anticipation and tension in the song. And to do this, sometimes it's as simple as just taking out the drums for a few beats. And the same thing with the bass, so that way we feel contrast. We can also create anticipation and contrast through the build-up, so we can add a simple high-pass filter to the master like this. And then we're going to create an automation clip for the frequency. I took a little bit of a break from the track because I got tired of just listening to it over and over. I actually didn't add that much effects, I wanted to keep it simple, but I did add this pad right here. Just to kind of fill in the mids a little bit more, I did a little bit of adjustment to this rhythmic synth here. I added these things in the background. You might be like, what are these? And the funny thing is, this is just me kind of screaming into my mic and then applying a ton of autotune to it, as well as a guitar rig. I've chosen the metalcore stereo preset, so that way it sounds like a guitar. And it's kind of funny, but in the background, sounds pretty cool. Also, if we listen to the drop here, I added these little extra notes to the main synths, which I think sound really cool. This is what it looks like. It sounds pretty weird, but it just works. It makes it more unique. And these notes aren't even on beat. I just kind of randomly place them. Same with these ones over here. Two more things. I added these pads here that I just randomly found in my sample library. And all I have on them is an EQ to fit it into the track and get rid of some harsh frequencies that I didn't like. Whoa, I don't know why this is so big. Why is it so big? Wait, there we go. Some compression, a transgate which gives it that rhythmic sound, some reverb, and then chroma. And then finally we got this mid bass. Now this layers with the sub bass. Kind of fill in the mids. This is what really makes it sound full. And if you're wondering, all it is just a saw with a filter on it and some noise, kind of like these main synths up here that we made. And to process it, all I have is some saturation and EQ, and once again some compression. So with all of these together, and that's really all you need. You layer it a little bit to make it sound more full and give it some texture. Then you add some effects and ear candy, maybe some ambient sounds, some automation, and then some filters and fake out drops to create some tension and anticipation. All of this stuff combined tells a story, and that's what's going to hook your listener in and grab their attention. So let's listen to the final result. Thank you so much for watching. If you couldn't tell, I've had a huge headache for this entire video and it's been really hard to record, but I tried to do it anyway. Hopefully it's helped you. And by the way, if you want to, please subscribe. It would help me retire my parents. Also, if you want to, you can check the first link in the description. If you want one-on-one help from me, we can take your music to the next level and make it sound really professional. Anyway, make music now and to thank yourself later. Peace.